understanding, this video is basically a reaction of all the stuff that happened like a week ago when Hi-Rez's CEO went on Twitter and, without name dropping, called out Valve for stealing their players, their pros, their content creators, and, well, poaching them was his words, if I remember correctly, to go play their new game. And now it's unfair that they have all of Hi-Rez's analytics from Steam to use to make their own game. I don't know.
Right in front of my
Oh,
son.
it is Frost.
Hi-Rez CEO Stuart Chisholm was having himself a normal one on June 6th.
So this is Frost. He's an ex, like, I don't think he's in the community anymore. I'm not really 100%, but he used to make Smite content. I think he's moved on to do a lot of voice acting and voice stuff. So he does actually know that, you know, he knows what's going on. It's actually interesting. I thought this was just a random person.
The usual, complaining about their failing games, not taking any responsibility for alienating their own player base, and then accusing Valve of anti-competitive practices based on nothing but hearsay. You know, rumor, gossip. You watched the Depp v. Heard trial during the pandemic while baking sourdough bread. It's the closest we've come to a universal experience. Anyhow, just because the picture he painted of Valve was incorrect, stupid, inviting a defamation lawsuit from the biggest game distribution platform in the world, doesn't mean the frame that held the painting was bad. Listen, I like Valve as much as the next guy who stuffs his backlog full of games he'll never play, but by golly, they were 60% off. All I'm saying is, if I must be shafted by a corpo, Gabe Newell is a tender lover. He understands the difference between shearing a sheep for wool and spearing a sheep for wool, while it suits him anyways. And the current roster running Valve isn't going to be around forever. Hi-Rez Stu believes the game marketplace landlords hold too much power over mid-sized studios, which are essentially nowadays the AA live service providers. And he has insider's insight, so let's hear him out. Full disclosure, I also have inside information because I used to be pretty deep in the scene. I was a big content creator, then voted on as an ambassador, and then dipped out because I read the writing on the wall. If anyone from Hi-Rez is watching this, I know I've signed some NDAs, but this has nothing to do with those. No, this has something to do with a game rumored to exist called Deadlock.
I'm NDA'd and can't say anything about the game. But from 12 o'clock to 4 in the morning, every single night, I'm doing something. And it's not playing any game I can stream.
Allegedly, this is Valve's late entry into the hero shooter genre mixed with MOBA elements, and a problem for Hi-Rez Stu because his company runs a MOBA, Smite. They're also working on the sequel, Smite 2 Sans Spaghetti Code, and neither's development has been going too well recently. To make matters worse, Stu got the impression that someone from Valve was contacting Smite content creators and ex-pro players to poach them for Deadlock.
Yo, this is what's crazy. All right, hear me out. I know personally, if I was running a studio that was a major online game, I would have some line of communication with the top content creators and pro players, right? Like, why not? It's as easy as a Twitter DM, and it's mutually beneficial. Like, you're gonna have an open line of communication, right? Right? You think. He just mentioned how Stu thought everybody was being poached by Valve. His problem is his source was an InCon video.
He took to Twitter and indirectly gave them a piece of his mind, or at least as much as he could stuff within the character limit, and lumped in major distribution platforms as well. New games try to court the audience of pre-existing games all the time, but according to Stu, this was an abnormal amount of targeting. And even if it was normal, it was asymmetrical, therefore anti-competitive. Valve knows everything. To try to get optimal distribution from all of our platform providers, we have gone totally pants down on our plans with all of them, down to a 50-slide PowerPoint.
Okay, why are they giving them like full-blown business plans to sell their games at a rate that I'm betting you really don't have a lot of negotiation room unless you're massive, like huge, where you can kind of pit Epic and them against each other, or just I don't know.
Stu's naked and afraid, and he believes he has to be to get the best stall he can for his games in the Steam marketplace. Due to their nature,
I find this really hard to believe. Like, I can't understand. Like, there's no way all these other games that sell on Steam are going to Steam and having a meeting and giving them a PowerPoint presentation. They're literally saying, here's our game. whatever we gotta sign it. We'll play it. We'll put it up.
Has to be to get the best stall he can for his games in the Steam marketplace.
Oh,
Due to their nature as a platform, they know
Thank you, Director.
everyone who has played our game on their platform, how much they spent, growth trends over time, markets where the game performs better or worse, what are the games our players play, everything meaningful. When he says meaningful, he means the fairy dust, Formula X. It's the unquantifiable variables that give something that zest that invites cultural indulgence. Like canned cranberry sauce. There's just something about this tangy, gelatinous, ribbed for his or her pleasure cylinder that puts it above homemade cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving. It's not necessarily better per se, but I like it more. I don't know why. It just has that it factor. Now let's say that Smite strikes oil in 2024, because third-person action MOBAs unlock their full potential after stagnating for a decade or something. Because Hi-Rez has walked Valve through their entire operation, and run their analytics through Steam, Valve gets the earliest heads up possible about Smite's success.
The thing that I also don't understand is Smite is supposed to be bigger on console, and Steam should not have those analytics. Why would they be giving Steam those analytics? Valve also wouldn't have Epic Games analytics. So I can't figure out why Hi-Rez, like, bro, what kind of fucking CEO is handing over that information to anybody? Well, like, if you're gonna hand it over, you might as well just make it public for every single person to see ever.
You're trading as you can legally.
Doesn't make any sense.
If Valve reckoned there's a lucrative untapped market and wanted their own slice of the third-person action MOBA scene pie, then they have all the resources available to reverse engineer and create their own store brand Smite. And it wouldn't be we have Smite at home quality. Valve has enough money to assure Smite who? Never heard of them quality. So long as you don't consider Artifact. But even then, through sheer market dominance, they can take Smite's slice of the pie as well because Valve controls every game's discoverability. He made note to be clear that he was not accusing Valve of giving certain games more or less coverage for their own gain, but that it was a possibility. So you do know what defamation is. This has always been a possibility, but not one worth pursuing because video games take time to make. By the time you get a working prototype, you could already be 2 years too late. However, the thing with live service games is their very existence keeps the genre ball bouncing. Dead by Daylight doesn't go out of season. You can always try to take Deep Rock Galactic's spot as King of the Space Gnomes game. But why would Valve try to do that aside from plain old greed? According to Stu, it's more a matter of self-preservation. With the industry consolidating at a high rate, each platform has more and more internal game studios and a broader portfolio of their own games to push and more pressure on their own games to succeed.
Okay, so they're talking about, basically like, why are they even going after this, the third-person MOBA? And he's talking about how it's internalizing. Whoever the fuck pitched the idea of a game that combines shitty Overwatch and shitty Smite, no offense to either of them, it brings all those players into one fucking place instead of micro separating everybody else, is a fucking genius. Fucking smart as fuck.
He laments the industry is no longer growing at anywhere near the rate it did in the 20 years prior to 2022. With the overall industry no longer growing as fast, the major platform providers are under immense pressure to show their investors that they can outgrow the overall industry trend. If the total pie is not as big, the only way to do that is to either draw market share from other platforms or draw market share from other games on their platform using their own in-house created content. Drawing market share from other platforms is very hard and takes a ton of time and money. Players typically have a ton of lock-in on their specific preferred platform. Taking market share from other people providing content on your own platform is relatively easy pickings, especially since every platform provider is also a significant content creator and many grew their internal studios massively over the past 5 years, even if you offset recent layoffs in those groups. And worst of all, it's a heads they win, tails they win situation. Even if we fight through and prevail and spend tons of money in defense, they still get a significant percentage of our sales at a much lower marginal cost than we incur. Stu's cooking and almost ready to serve, but he dropped it and stepped on it when he accused Valve of blatantly poaching from Smite, when he had no confirmation on that whatsoever.
I tweeted about this, and I was like, I've never thought of it this way, where Valve can also like Valve having Steam can pull his analytics and make games in their own studio and use all those analytics to target the right audiences and see the trends and know when things are hitting, when aren't, and all that stuff. I never thought about that. I tweeted and I was like, that is actually a really interesting way to look at it. But he's so right about this. It's still just.
I checked behind the scenes with
he
my
was
own
panicking
sources.
with this
Other
tweet.
people had to come and tell him he was wrong, but he left up the tweet for transparency's sake. And I believe he's rightfully called out the macro problems at large, and I don't think it's cynical to wonder what would happen if Gabe Newell woke up one day and chose violence. What would Batman do? Is there a contingency plan if Valve ever did what Stu accused them of doing? If you're too caught up on specifics of Valve, then insert any other major games publisher like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, or combine them all together. What if all the markets grouped up, say blackballed Power World, and then made their own instead? Power is unprecedented, and I'd like something a little more concrete than Scout's Honor to fall back on. This is the part of capitalism that I like. When there's no more room for expansion and everyone's toes are being stepped on, the higher-ups go crying to each other or the government for regulation. I'm sorry for those of you expecting to watch a marvelous explosion over the beach as late-stage capitalism
That'd be
finally
crazy.
goes kablooey. But I believe it's a never-ending cycle of unrestrained growth until it needs regulating.
If
And then grows some more
it'd
until
be
it
crazy if the government
drops
started
the belt loop,
regulating
and
game
takes off
making.
again. But, I'm not going to leave it there without pointing out the absolute hypocrisy on display here.
Oh, he definitely goes into it.
Stu is also CEO of a company called Rally Here. What they do is help studios with setting up the back end for live service games, which would give them an asymmetrical advantage over these games because anyone who uses this service will have to lay their plans and analytics bare.
Bruh.
The same way he was crying he had to do for Valve. That information is necessary so he can help the studios find the magical fairy dust for their games like he did for his own games. Are the magical fairy dust games in the room with us right now? They made Global Agenda, an MMO, one of the first free-to-play games released on Steam, then abandoned it. They made Tribes, a first-person shooter, abandoned it. Smite we'll get back to. Paladins, Overwatch clone, maintenance mode. Realm Royale, a battle royale trend chase ruined after a most bizarre patch. Rogue Company, it's a Rainbow Six Siege type hero shooter, don't know what the hell happened there. Divine Knockout, online platform fighter, no dev is currently working on it. And a few other trend chasing mobile games I missed. Smite, the action MOBA, took off, but it's been in a state of decay for some time now.
I wonder who pitches their games that they end up trying to make.
Replace it. However, recent development has both games in a dire state, and I imagine a track record like this doesn't look good when you offer a side service that helps other games find their fairy dust, as he loves to put it. You want to talk about asymmetrical information? Sure. Why does your website show you as your own trusted clients? Aside from Atmos, I recognize each of these as high-res brands. Redbeard for Divine Knockout, Evil Mojo for Paladins and Realm Royale, First Watch Games for Rogue Company.
Dude, I said this when they were making it. I was so confused about this when they made this company.
A not even remotely clever way to resell a previously exclusive item under the guise of supporting.
This is fucked up, by the way. Wait, hold on.
That one card game or auto chess game that failed. What about the cool Sidon skin?
Bro, we were told we are never getting Poseidon again, so they made Cool Sidon and acted like it wasn't fucked up.
A not even remotely clever way to resell a previously exclusive item under the guise of supporting an esports scene that you didn't even run this year.
Oh yeah, I didn't even remember that. What the fuck? Wait. I forgot they pitched this as money for esports the next year. That has to be illegal. There's no way that's not illegal. Hold up. There's no way that is not illegal. There's literally no way. Hold on. I'm pulling up the pitch for this skin. Yeah, it's right here.
2.com/FAQ. We'll also continue to update you nonstop as more information about Smite 2 comes out. So follow @SmiteGame on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. I mean X. You know what I mean.
We are committed to Smite 2 for years to come. And as a competitive game, that commitment starts with esports. 2024 will be a transition year for the esports scene, as the Titan Forge esports ecosystem moves from Smite to Smite 2 and evolves to answer a few of the community's most frequently heard concerns. More lands where you can join together in the audience and cheer on your favorite teams. A return of region-based rivalries with their unique metas. No more requirements for pros to live in Atlanta, allowing anyone to compete regardless of where they are from. An esports scene that is more open to anyone with the skill to win. And more freedom for players to sign sponsorship deals with whomever they want to. Introducing the Smite 2 Founders Series, a series of LAN majors that will build the foundation.
Wait, when's the first day of summer? What's the first day of summer again? Oh, it's in 3 days. So the Founders Series is starting in 3 days. All right, so before we go further, this is fucked up because this is not Hindu Man's fault. This is 0% Hindu Man's fault. This is 100% the way it's worked in Smite Esports forever. The CEO tells them how to spend their esports money and will not let them do what they want unless he thinks it's a good idea, even though he has no experience and no understanding of the esport. So what happened was they probably went to Stu here. This is all assumption. They went to Stu here and they're like, hey, here's the money we made from those skins. Here's what we want to do. Here's the timeline since it matches up with Smite 2. And everyone was probably like, yeah, great. Then we roll into this year and Stu's like, no, you can't spend money. There's a very obvious reason we haven't had a tournament, but they had a creator cup with a charity fucking prize. They clearly could have put that money into a tournament, but instead they wanted to have more write-offs, which is Stu and how he's spending his money. It is 100%. I don't think there's any in between. I don't think there's anyone like bossing, like Hindu's now in charge of the esports stuff. I think it's straight to Stu. I don't think it's anyone else in between.
Of Smite 2 esports scene.
I have not heard a single other name ever used at what, like in between there as a person, point of contact or anything.
During Smite 2's alpha, teams will be able to form freely under a banner of their choice and play in online qualifiers. The best teams will earn their spots to play live at a Smite 2 LAN major. These majors will be held in front of a live audience around the world. We can confirm today that in year one of Smite 2 esports, there will be at least one major in the United States, and for the first time since 2017, competitive Smite will be played in front of a crowd at a major in Europe or the UK. Be sure to...
There was supposed to be 2 LANs this year? And they already said the EU LAN fell through already because of the venue, which sounds like full-blown bullshit. So where's the NA LAN? Where's the planned NA LAN? Because they announced a Vegas LAN for next year. Or are they considering it not year-based and it season-based and saying that's still part of year one of Smite 2? But the Vegas one is next year. They said 2 this year.
Follow the Smite Pro X account to learn more about Smite 2 Founder Series and how you can take part.
When we started development on Smite 2,
do they
we wanted to
mention
make
that
the
skin
first
anywhere?
great MOBA since Smite. We think we're on the right track, but we're not done yet. There's a lot of work.
I wanted to see if they mentioned the Creator Cup is the LAN. It is. It actually is. That is what it is, because they didn't want to, because Stu didn't want to use the money for creators or anybody at all. He wanted it to be a charity write-off, which is fucked, because I remember this being an esports skin and a portion of this is supposed to go to esports. I thought it was sketchy in the first place because we can't see how much is being sold. And back in the day, every game I've ever been in that does an esports pool, you see a counter for how much money is going towards esports. The other thing that's sketchy is this was a mirror image of one of the rarest skin in the game that was supposed to never come back. And they brought it back with a million different colorways, which is even more fucked up. Like, both sides of that are fucked up. That's crazy.
Previously exclusive item under the guise of supporting an esports scene that you didn't even run this year. The pro players that you accuse Valve of stealing from you aren't even your players because you fired them all. How many times have you tried poaching content creators from other scenes while giving yours little to nothing? Actually, it's worse than that. You run a Twitch channel that competes with your own streamers. And I don't even have anything against Hi-Rez. I like you guys, I really do. I just think you do bad business. But what's the difference between a good guy doing bad business and a bad guy doing bad business? Things have gotten so dire for your live service games that your players are talking about leaving you for a game that doesn't even officially exist. You are correct. Valve and the major distributors do have too much power.
Fuck.
But who gave it to them? You used to have a standalone launcher.
Crazy.
What happened to that? And now we're the ones who have to hear you cry about it. Oh, I'll get right on it, yes. No, Valve. No. Bad Valve. They didn't listen. This is exactly what I want. Executives fighting each other for regulation or facing the facts and having to deliver quality. Win-win for me. Let this be a lesson to you and any other studio that takes their community for granted. Competition can come for you at any time from any direction, so it pays to be on
I
your
said this
best.
already. I was like, what game do you think I'm going to prioritize streaming if one gives me a skin or something relevant in the game and then the other one doesn't? Especially when the other one is a game I've played for 12 years. I've probably brought in more players than anyone else has ever brought in, and I've never made a dime from. Just saying, if one treats its creators right and the other doesn't, yeah, they're out. And they also mentioned the pro play. Like, you're not even a Smite Pro anymore. Everyone's an X Pro. There's no more Pro League. So it was pretty cringe because it seems like Stu acts like he's gifted everybody something. Like he's just fucking just giving us everything we have. So it's a pretty like, from my point of view as both an X Pro and a content creator, is a pretty big L to lead with. Our pros and content creators are being poached. Bro, you're lucky I like the fucking game. That's it. You're lucky I like the fucking game. That there's no further fucking statement. If I didn't like Smite, so I wouldn't play it. And I know a lot of people that wouldn't be watching or playing the game anymore because of it.
Best behavior. You're not upset about how Valve has gained power because you're trying to do the same thing yourself. You're upset that it's...
Yeah. Frost is the dude who DM Brandon. The clip went viral with DM Brandon where like he got mad that Frost was sniping him or killed him or something.
It's not you. It shouldn't be anyone.
Frost used to make a lot of Smite content.
That core game loop has to have some magic fairy dust sprinkled on it.
Interesting.
Hey.
Interesting. I didn't know Frost was the one who was going to make that video because I didn't know what second wind was. Yeah, he was a Smite dude. That's interesting. I wonder if... I know that Dexerto wrote an article that was based on Incon's video, but that shit never got promoted anywhere. Like, I never saw them tweet it or do anything with it other than have an article written up on their website. I forgot all about the Poolseidon skin being an esports skin. Really, I forgot about it existing in the first place. Kind of mind-blowing. It's a process. I feel like if Smite 2 goes under in some way, it's just Stu's fault for always doing literally nothing that anyone wanted. Or whoever was the CEO at the time. I don't, over the years. I don't know if Frost voices stuff for this. I don't know what that fucking YouTube channel is. I have no idea. I've never heard of it before. He might just do voices on there. It might be his channel. I don't know. I have no idea.